Today, we're jumping right into something really intense, the world of mood swings in borderline personality disorder. We're going to get into what they feel like, the science behind what's happening, and, most importantly, how to actually navigate that emotional storm. Let's get into it.
Have you ever felt that feeling where your internal world can just flip on a dime? One minute you're fine, the next you're somewhere completely different, with almost zero warning. It's a really disorienting feeling, and it can leave you feeling totally out of control.
For someone with BPD, this isn't some rare, fleeting thing. It can be a daily or even hourly reality. The swing from this profound sense of love and connection to a gut-wrenching emptiness or a sudden boiling rage, it can happen in just minutes. It's an emotional whiplash that is just completely exhausting.
And this is really the key thing to get here. We are not talking about just having a bad day or feeling a little grumpy. The sources we're looking at describe these as emotional earthquakes, these powerful internal upheavals that shake your entire sense of who you are and what's real until it feels like everything is just collapsing around you.
So to really understand this, we've got to go beyond just definitions. We need to look at what this experience actually feels like for the person living inside of it. Let's take a closer look at that unseen storm.
To make this real, let's talk about Michael. He's described as this really passionate, deeply caring guy. When he loves with his whole being. But that emotional sensitivity also means that things that seem small to others can feel like these massive, crushing rejections, and that can trigger a really, really painful response.
Okay, look at the speed here. This is what's so wild. At 7 p.m., Michael feels totally secure with his friend. 1 minute later, he tells a joke, and it just falls flat. By 7:02, his mind has already translated that silence into a catastrophic failure. I always ruin everything. And then boom, by 7:03, his entire emotional world has flipped from connection to feeling completely worthless and abandoned. That's the emotional whiplash right there in action.
So you might be wondering, how is that even possible? How can things shift so fast? Well, this isn't just a feeling, it has a real biological basis. Let's dive into the science of what's actually happening inside the brain.
First things first, and this is absolutely critical, this is not a character flaw. It is not a sign of weakness. It's about differences in how the brain is wired. Getting that is the first huge step away from self-blame and towards strategies that actually work.
And this slide just breaks it down perfectly. Think of your brain as having these two systems, right? In BPD, the amygdala, that's your brain's emotional alarm system, is often hypersensitive. The source material has this great analogy. It's like a smoke detector that just screams bloody murder every single time you boil water. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which is supposed to be the calming system, the logical part, it just can't keep up. It struggles to talk that screaming alarm down.
So what happens when this internal neurological storm slams into the outside world? Well, the impact can be huge. These emotional shifts don't just happen in a vacuum. They deeply, deeply affect a person's life and all of their connections with other people.
And man, this question, why can't I just be normal? It just cuts right to the heart of the pain, doesn't it? It's this cry of pure exhaustion and self-blame. People with BPD often feel so much shame for their own reactions. But what the research tells us is that the intensity of their feelings isn't actually the problem. The real issue is the struggle to regulate that intensity.
This internal chaos often creates a pattern in relationships called splitting. Because the emotions are so intense, perception can become totally black and white. 1 minute, someone you love is perfect, they're your savior, but the next, after one perceived mistake, that exact same person can seem like the enemy. You can imagine how this makes relationships feel incredibly unstable, almost like a battlefield.
Okay, so after all of that, the chaos, the brain science, the turmoil, you have to be asking, where's the hope? Well, the turning point isn't about stopping the feelings, it's about changing your relationship with them. And that all starts by creating an anchor of awareness right in the middle of the storm.
And here it is. This is the question on everyone's mind. After hearing all this, the natural human impulse is to ask, okay, so how do I make it stop?
And the answer might be a little jarring. The honest answer is you can't. You can't just wish the storm away or force your feelings to disappear. In fact, trying to fight them usually just makes the storm even stronger. But right after that really tough answer comes the real message of hope. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. The whole goal shifts from trying to eliminate your feelings to navigating them. It's about building the skills to ride those emotional waves without letting them pull you under.
So the very first move, it's creating a little bit of space between you and the feeling. Through awareness, you start to learn how to observe your emotions without immediately becoming them. You start to realize, okay, I am the sky, not the weather. I'm the one watching the storm pass. I am not the storm itself.
Okay, so awareness is the starting line, but what do you actually do when you're in the thick of it, when the storm hits? Let's pack an emotional survival kit with some really practical, hands-on tools.
When your mind is just spinning out, you have to anchor it to something real. This is a classic grounding technique, and it's a lifesaver. By forcing your brain to focus on your senses, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, and so on, you literally pull your mind out of that chaotic, fearful story and back into the physical reality of right here, right now. Here are a few more really powerful, science-backed strategies. Name and tame is about getting specific. Instead of I'm angry, try I feel rejected. It gives you power over it. The temperature shift, splash in cold water on your face, actually triggers a nerve that calms your whole body down. Radical acceptance is about finally stopping the war with your own feelings. And of course, therapies like DBT are literally designed to give you this entire toolkit. Look, putting all these tools into practice, it's a journey. It is not about being perfect, it's about progress. So this last part is all about what recovery really looks like and the powerful message of hope that comes with it.
This is such a powerful way to think about it. Those intense emotions during a mood swing, they feel like absolute, undeniable truth in that moment. But this quote is a reminder that these feelings are often just echoes of things that happened in the past, not actual proof of what's happening now. It's old data, not live information.
And that means recovery isn't some magical finish line where the emotions just vanish. It's the small wins. It's the moment you catch yourself and pause before you react. It's waking up and realizing, hey, I handled that trigger differently yesterday. I didn't explode. That is what real progress looks and feels like.
And that really brings us to our final thought. Maybe the goal was never to silence the storm at all. Maybe these intense emotions are actually signals, a language trying to tell you something important about old wounds that need to be heard. So healing, then, isn't about becoming less emotional. It's about becoming more emotionally intelligent. It's about learning to finally understand what your own heart has been trying to tell you all along.